Mr. Haukip, your first response on the comments of the UN expert who are trying to see this conflict as Christian versus Hindu conflict.
I don't think that the by reading the brief reports that has been circulated in the website, just saying that the predominantly Hindu Meitei and the predominantly Christian Kuki ethnic communities that erupted in May 2023. I think this basically indicates certain religious composition, but it does not divide the two communities into on religious line as we have projected here. And the denial of human rights violation by big powers such as China or Russia is not uncommon, despite the fact that violation happens in such places like Mongolia, Tibet, or for the matter in certain Russian territories. So I think these experts are very credible. They I have looked into some of the issues they have dealt with, like issues of illicit cultivation of poppy and others, which of course Manipur has been grappling with. I've looked into the reports, and some of the reports are
But
high
Mr. Aukip,
quality.
they have also, when I went through the report, they use, they use like torture, extrajudicial killing, forced transfer of population. Yes, there has been transfer of population. There is no doubt about that. There has been, there has been an issue where, people have moved out. The 3 days ago, which we discussed. But to say that, it was managed and this is a Hindu Christian thing is a pretty big outreach. I mean to say, it's like
Definitely,
mixing fiction with
yeah,
fact.
definitely, yeah, definitely. On 4th of May, I was invited in different media to discuss about this, and many experts were alleging about looking into the pattern of the burning of churches and other reactions, initial reactions of the conflict. It looks like a kind of a religious conflict. Many were alleging that the kind of conflict was planned by the churches and others. I debunked them that this is not a kind of religious conflict, because there is so much of religious tolerance so far in Manipur, despite some incidents in the past few months have happened in Manipur. Manipur is a multicultural cultural society, and I think there is no conflict based on the religion in the past so many years. Despite of course, there are some incidents that sporadic incidents that happened in a very small scale level. And as I've read out, just looking into the population, the experts were trying to indicate the kind of population that they have also. And this doesn't indicate that the UN body or the specialists on this human rights violations are trying to divide the population into Hindu and religion and Christian. So I don't believe in that, and until they are evidently indicating that it is based on
Okay. Mr. Haukim,
religion.
Professor Bhagat also joined me. Professor Bhagat, international agencies also weaponize human right objectives. Now, in this case, what I really find very misleading, they said predominantly Hindu Maitis fought with predominantly Christian cookies. This is like grave misrepresentation of facts. It's like just saying just because Maitis are in majority, they are doing majoritarianism. It's like that. It's akin to saying that.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. See, violence has taken from both sides. There is no denying of the fact. But you cannot, you know, pinpoint a particular community just because they happen to be Hindus, majority, or just they happen to be a majority community. So that part of the story, I felt that it has been a bit biased, the report. This division of Hindu and Christian should not have come up. So it cast a doubt on the very intention of those who are preparing this report. This is one. And secondly, when the violence has happened, people, this is even with the Editors Guild. What is happening is we very happily or very summarily ignore the genesis of the violence. How it all happened, how it all started is also equally important. Uh, as well as the quantum of violence. So the violence has taken from both sides of the communities. So that has to be coming out. But unfortunately, somewhere the victim and the aggressor, there is some kind of a divide. And the projection by the report is that majority Hindus are somehow uh, ostracizing and uh,
You're right. The same thing was with the in the Editors Guild of India's report. Though I am
that
against the
is
sort of draconian provisions which
unfortunate.
have been raised against them, that goes against journalism. But the fact is that that report also had a slant. It has already made its judgment.
Karthike, I just wonder, those who are going to write this report, particularly those from United Nations, what are the sources? Have they contacted every party, every groups, and then arrive at certain conclusion, or are they only depending on the narrative of a particular group? That is my slight doubt. Even with Editors Guild, though they had visited Manipur, but the kind of narrative they have, given up, I mean, shown it. And I'm sorry to say that after all, we are all human beings. We have our
Correct.
ideological positions. That seems to have prevailed over your identity as a journalist, your identity as a researcher. Somehow, that is the most unfortunate part. You have to keep your ideology in the backdrop when you are engaging into a responsible job,
Absolutely.
particularly when such a situation arises.
No, absolutely. Brijesh, we discussed that in the whole Editors Guild issue. Even today, if I take you to certain points, people don't read it because there is a release by the government of India. But it's like saying, by mid-August 2023, an estimated 160% had reportedly been killed, mostly from the Kuki ethnic community. Over 300 injured. The conflict also reported resulted in tens of thousands of people from communities being displaced, correct? Thousands of homes and hundreds of churches being burnt, as well as the destruction of farmland, loss of crops, and loss of livelihoods. I mean to say, religious structures of lot of communities came down, isn't it, Professor Bhavgat?
So the temples, Kartike, temples were also burned down, destroyed. So those who are writing the report must represent properly and do not show as if that it is only the churches that has been destroyed. And secondly, Kartike, even the churches, it is not all Meiteis who are destroying the churches. True, many churches has been destroyed, Kuki churches, but some of the Meitei churches, Meitei Christians churches, have also been destroyed by the Kuki Christian. So
Okay.
destruction of the churches are not only by the Meitei Hindus, but also the Kuki Christians are destroying the Meitei churches. So this part somehow is missing in the representation in the narrative.
No, absolutely. Mr. Hauke, would you like to respond to this?
Yeah, I would respond to my colleagues. One of the comments that the cookies were involved in the burning of churches. I think many interviews were conducted by the Wire and other medias, and many of them the church leaders have already said that the cookies during the conflict they don't have time even to pack their belongings. How will they have time to destroy churches? And there are confirmations in Chursanpur and in More and other places that all the churches, whether it be from the Meitei community, they are all intact, and there are videos and others that confirms to it. And to my opinion, and despite my hesitations, I would say that religions also does play a certain role in trying to win favors during this conflict, whether it be the central government or whether it be the international institutions or perhaps the European Union or other countries. So religious, kind of, dissection also happens sometimes to win certain favors of the more powerful entities around the world or within the country. So, definitely, of course, religion also plays certain role in trying to rehabilitate also. For instance, the cookies mainly get rehabilitation from Christian organizations around India and maybe perhaps around the world. And many of the relief materials, and even including medicines, where they hardly reach the hill areas. They were blocked by many, agents. For instance, the Maimara Pabis and others were blocking any kind of food grains or medical supplies that goes to the hill areas, particularly Kangpopi or Chosanpur or Tenupul districts. So this kind of happening, and unless people also mobilize themselves into certain entities, then they also feel the burn of this conflict a lot. So this kind of mobilization also happens for good in relief and rehabilitations in medicine and other sections of the current situation.